Yeah, well. And
maybe I should try the lower chair.
well, I text Mark, and he's not responding as to how to take down the Chiron there.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I can fool around with it.
Well, yeah, I could see why we wouldn't want to fool around with too much stuff.
Okay. Yeah, because you're still frozen on mine here, so. Okay, well. All right, I guess we're about ready here.
Yeah, 6:01. Yes, Tim and Mongo, we made it on. Oh. Yeah, he's not responding to my text.
Well, probably went back to sleep.
Probably. Or went
Sounded like I woke him up.
I'm sure you did. It is a day for you NBA fans to celebrate, Michael.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this final day of June. Hope you had a good weekend, and thanks so much for being with us. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Mark off all week, as you know. Friday is a best of show. If you join us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, or on the Miller and Moulton YouTube channel, you will see one Rick Church in the cozy confines of the Southwest Florida studios. Now, first things first, we had to make sure we got connected to the satellite. All our affiliates could get us. We had to make sure we got on the air. So we got one little hiccup right now. All right. We have on the screen a graphic that says we're in commercial break. We will be right back. Okay. Obviously, we're not in commercial break. We're live. Okay. So we are going to, as my mom would like to say, foot-toots around, all right, during the course of the show, and we will try to remove that from the screen. But we're trying not to bother Mark while he's on vacation more than we already have. So there you have it. Rick, top of the morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, David. Thank you. It's great to be with you again. And I want you to notice I have all the lights on today.
Yes.
In fact, the last time I was with you, a new nickname was born that everybody around the station calls me now, and that is the Shadow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I usually when I'm in here, I just have the back lighting on and not the full open lighting. And so a few times you said I looked like a shadow. You referred to me as the Shadow. That nickname really stuck, David. It's been with me for several months now.
I'm sorry about that, because I'm sure you're not fond. It's not the worst nickname, you have to admit.
Not even close.
It's not the worst nickname. It's certainly, since you and I are married, it's certainly pretty good compared to what we've been called in the past. But
Absolutely.
we'll just keep it at that. Listen, for the record, Rick is a big Minnesota sports fan. He's a big NBA fan.
I am.
All right.
Yeah.
And NBA free agency begins at 12 hours. I mean, Rick, this is up until the last couple of years. This has been like the highlight week of the season for you in many years past, because, once free agency week was over, I mean, that your season was basically over, but the T-Wolves have gotten their act together. So, there you have it.
Is that a sleepy Mark Miller I see popping up on the screen there?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, Mark.
I don't know why I didn't bring him on the screen. So
I did, so I can change the thing, guys. Sorry. I mean,
no, that's fine. That's fine. Sorry to bother you. And hopefully you'll go back and have a great vacation.
if you go to media assets,
Okay. Is that on the bottom?
on the right side, there should be, it says comments, banners, media assets.
I see it. Media assets.
You go to the top one, which I just did.
There you go.
Okay.
And
All right.
hide.
Have a great vacation.
See you.
Bye, Mark. Go back to bed.
So there you go.
That was fun.
Yeah, I feel badly for Mark, but
Well, I when I saw him on Friday, and I said, I said, I'm sure there's going to probably be instances where I'm going to need to call you. And he's like, oh, I'm sure I'll be up early as always. So I did not hesitate to call him at 5:40 this morning. Say we got some problems here, but hopefully that's the last time.
yes, hopefully it is as well. Obviously, another busy weekend in the sports world. I must admit, it started for me, and I'm going to date myself, and Rick, I don't know if I will date you also, but I was pretty bummed Friday afternoon when the news that Dave Parker had passed.
That was a month before he gets to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I was a huge Dave Parker fan.
Yeah, that bothered me. It always bothers me when someone gets so close to giving their speech and they don't get to give it. And someone that, there's a few guys, the Dale Murphys, the Dave Parkers of the world, whose numbers today don't look like Hall of Fame numbers. But if you were around during their heyday, which in Parker's case was the 70s and 80s, in Dale Murphy's case, it was very much the 80s. All right, you knew you were watching a Hall of Famer. I mean, this is how good Dave Parker was. Dave Parker could hit you for 30 homers, 100 RBIs, and win the batting title because he won 2 of them. He was a 5-tool player, a legit 5-tool player who had the best arm in right field this side of Clemente. And there's many a highlight out there to show it. Dave Parker was a stud. He was a dude. Okay. Willie Stargell may have been the leader on the We Are Family Pirates. Dave Parker was their best player. And Dave Parker also contributed to the A's, all right, during their 3 straight World Series appearances and World Series win. And Dave Parker did not get voted in by the writers. He ended up getting voted in by one of the committees whose names none of us can quite figure out. I know there's the word era in it, but I don't quite know what era, contemporary or otherwise, that Dave Parker's committee voted him in, but they finally did. And yes, in 3 weeks' time, he was going to go to Cooperstown and, as he said, give the speech that he's had prepared for 15 years. And also, in Life's Cruelties, Dave Parker was just a tremendously big, strong, athletic, good-looking man. And Parkinson's ravaged him of much of that for the final 10 to 15 years of his life. All right. And it's a bummer. Dave Parker passed away Friday at the age of 74. Not unexpected. Dwayne Lucas also passed away. He had moved into hospice at the beginning of last week. 15 Triple Crown winners he trained. The legendary trainer was 89 years old. But Parker really bothered me, Rick. All right.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
one of those, and I don't know how you feel about Dale Murphy. You know, for the longest time, you were a Twins fan, and he had the one magical year with the Twins, did Jack Morris, but he's a St. Paul native. And I know for years you and I both pounded the table for Jack Morris to get into the Hall of Fame. For whatever reason, there seems to be certain guys who, you know, it took Burt Blyleven forever to get in the Hall of Fame with just under 300 career wins. You know, I was angry actually for a couple hours on Friday. Even though I'd never met Dave Parker, didn't know him or his family. That bothers me. You get in the Hall of Fame finally, years after many thought you should have been in. Okay. And as fate would have it, you don't get to see the day. That bothers me. Yeah.
It should have been in many years ago, David. I mean, you know, two-time batting champ, National League MVP, you know, World Series win. Really shouldn't have taken that long.
No. Dave Parker passed away 2 months shy of turning 75 years old. The baseball continues. We're officially past the midway point of the season, and we still have 2 more weeks to go to the All-Star break. So this is going to be an interesting time. Often they've played about, 87, 88 games at the All-Star break. This year, everybody will have played like 95 plus games by the time they get to the baseball All-Star break. So they won't be at the 2/3 poll when they're at the All-Star break, but they'll be pretty darn close. And so what you're looking at now, like in the, American League Central, I mean, can we put an X next to the Tigers?
Yeah, pretty much.
Considering no one else in the division. Last year, there were 4 teams above 500 and 3 made the playoffs. And right now in the AL Central, only the Tigers are above 500. And they are looking dominant. Best record in the American League, if not of all of baseball. Skubal certainly continuing to look like the best pitcher in baseball. 1 hit in 7 innings last night, 13 Ks. He won his 10th straight decision. And when he's on the hill, and he pitched really well in the playoffs for him last year, and he's picking up where he left off. But the Tigers with an 11.5 game lead. NBA free agency gets underway officially at 6:00 tonight. That's laughable because there have been trades since the early part of last week, and there have been deals that have been announced all through the weekend. And while many of them are guys re-signing with their old teams, you wait until later this afternoon when you hear all of the preliminary deals. Even though it's not a big nor good free agent class, you wait to see all the deals that have already been negotiated, which is amazing because they're not supposed to be able to talk to one another until 6:00 tonight. But a lot of NBA news. NHL, the draft came and went. Also, their free agency begins tomorrow. There have been quite a few signings. Still, everybody watching and waiting on Mitch Marner. Will Vegas trade for him so they can get an exclusive 12 to 24-hour negotiating period with Marner? That's how much they apparently want him. Big news hockey-wise over the weekend, late Friday, Sam Bennett, as expected, re-signed with the Panthers. A little bit of a hometown discount. He could have gotten more money per year on the open market, but he took 8 for 8. 8 years, $64 million. Sam Bennett returns. And take a look at all the key Panthers that are signed through the decade. You could argue 6 of their top 9 players are signed through the rest of the decade. Don't know how long this run continues, but on paper, it looks as if they can take a serious run at doing what the Islanders and the Oilers did in the 80s. Interesting golf news. Some big-time soccer over the weekend. and even some WNBA news to discuss. Racing on a Saturday night in Hotlanta with a very popular driver picking up his first win of the year. So it was a busy weekend. Wimbledon underway as we speak. For those of you still feeling it from the compelling French Open 3 weeks ago, does any of that continue to Wimbledon? We'll find out. Text line is open at 21,000, and the Twitch chat room is as well. Miller and Moulton.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the.
It looks like you're still frozen, David. And one of the comments I came across asked why you were frozen. So I don't know what's going on there.
Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
By the way, guys, I do have the text line operational, so I can see them. Heck, I can even respond. Don't know how many I will respond to, but oh, look at you.
Wow. Thank you. Better.
I was bothering you.
I had to stack like
Right.
12 things underneath the camera, but I think I got it where I like it.
Okay.
Not a big fan of the camera, but you know.
I know you're not. But you know,
at least I got the lights on.
That if we did a poll question today, it would be, what is Rick less happy about? A, 5 a.m. wake up. B, being on camera for 4 hours.
Oh, the camera thing for sure.
Really? I would.
Yeah, you know what? David, it's not like I got that much going on in my life these days. So if I have to go to bed early and get up early, that doesn't really. Yeah, I was in bed at like 9 o'clock last night, going, "Well, this is weird," but fell asleep. So
okay,
no problem there. just make adjustment for a few days. By the way, you started asking me about the Timberwolves. You know, they've already kind of, I think, pretty much spent all they, because Julius Randle picked up his
and
player
Naz
option, and Naz Reid got a big extension.
Well, I guess technically Randall didn't pick up his option, but they negotiated a 3-year
Right.
extension at virtually the same money.
Yeah.
And I guess who's the NAW kid?
Nikhil Alexander Walker.
Yeah, I guess it means he's gone.
Probably, yeah. Which, you know, is unfortunate. I mean, he's an important role player. That's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, he's gone for sure.
But, yeah, and I guess
they've got guys the second apron.
Yeah. Oh.
They hit the second apron.
Well, you know what's going to happen is teams are going to have to not give these max deals. And that will be very interesting, you know, because you'll have the next wave of players who all want the max and the super max. And teams are going to go, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. If we do the math and we give you that, we can't get good players around you. So that'll be the interesting thing going forward. Because that's the underlying story as to why the Mavs traded Luka.
Oh, yeah.
They just decided he's not a guy we're going to pay 75 million a year to. We're not going to do it.
Yeah. And I was like one of the very few people that did not think that was like the worst trade in the world, because, you know, I know there was a lot of concerns about Luka's, not his health, but his conditioning, you know, his longevity. And, you know, I could see that. Of course, now everyone's saying he's in, you know, top-notch shape and he's looking great, but
well, he got embarrassed. So you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You knew that was going to happen.
So if this Cooper Flag thing works out for Dallas, you know, I mean, is it, and I mean, if Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis stay healthy, you know, and Cooper Flag, and, you know, hey, who knows what to make of Klay Thompson, but, you know, they got the potential to be better than the Lakers, right?
Especially in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. All right, we got about 40 seconds here.
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour on this Monday, the final day of June, July 4th week. We will be off on the 4th. A best of will air in our place. Mark is off all week. He and the family vacationing, well deserved. Rick Church is on the other side of the glass. And if you're joining us on YouTube or on Twitch, that is who you are looking at. It says at that Mark Miller. That is just to get us on the air. All right. But Correct. It is Rick Church who is on the other side of the glass. I just want to get into some of the things that happened this weekend. There were a few interesting things in the golf world over the weekend. We talked about some of them late last week, where an LIV golfer from years past, James Pyatt, got a sponsor's exemption into the Rocket Classic in Detroit because he's a Michigan State kid and a former U.S. amateur champion, and they had a bunch of people withdraw from the tournament late. And so the sponsor reached out and said, I know you don't have any status on the PGA Tour or the Korn Ferry Tour for that matter, but you want to play? And he was like, yeah. And he ended up making the cut. Now, you know, he finished probably one of the bottom 7-8 guys in the tournament, but he made the cut and he got a check. And he hasn't done that in a year and a half since he got bumped from the LIV Tour at the end of the 2023 season. Keegan Bradley, the U.S. Ryder Cup captain, got off to the good start in round one, for the most part, wasn't able to continue it. Had a decent Sunday, but finished T41. That's not going to get you a whole bunch of points as he tries to automatically qualify for the team. You have to finish in the top 6. He is currently 9th in the Ryder Cup point standings. There's a couple of other, I think, interesting factoids in the golf world over the weekend. All right. One is Patrick Reed ended up winning on the LIV. I'll say it again. Okay. DeChambeau is going to make the U.S. Ryder Cup team and probably no one else from LIV. They should seriously consider Captain America there, Patrick Reed. He's got a great Ryder Cup record and he's playing really well. And he's had top 10 at 2 majors this year. And now he just won again, so he's in good form. I know he's probably the most unpopular guy in all of golf. I don't know what to tell you. It's 3 days in New York. Suck it up. But the U.S. Senior Open took place this weekend. And 52-year-old Richard Bland had an interesting choice to make. He is the defending U.S. Senior Open champion. Well, who doesn't defend their U.S. Open title, whether it's on the regular tour or the Champions Tour? Well, the answer to the question is Richard Bland, because Richard Bland is also on the LIV Tour. And you sign a contract on the LIV Tour. They have 14 tournaments, and you agree to play in all of them. But more than that, you accumulate money and points so that you are automatically renewed on the LIV Tour. And Richard Bland, who has won on the LIV Tour, besides winning a senior PGA and a senior Open, and on the DP World Tour just a couple years ago. But Bland is kind of middle of the road this year. And so Bland had a decision to make. Skip the LIV event in Dallas and not only lose money, potentially break your contract, and have people question whether or not we should keep you on the tour, or go defend his U.S. Senior Open title. And he skipped the U.S. Senior Open, and he played in the LIV in Dallas and finished T18. And believe me, T18 on the LIV Tour is a decent check, and therefore decent points. And as of now, he still is going to remain on that tour going forward. So he's playing for the money. He made no bones about it. Okay. Right before he was turning 50, he left the DP World Tour. He left the PGA Tour. He went LIV. Okay. He's, however, qualified for certain senior majors, has won 2 of them, which has allowed him to participate in other tournaments. But he had a decision to make. And he ended up choosing LIV over defending his U.S. Senior Open title. Just thought that was an interesting golf tidbit.
Follow the money.
Well, hey, Rick, if you think about it, if you went to LIV, why did you go?
Money.
And virtually no other reason. So if you're going to follow the money, follow the money. Plus, he's already won the U.S. Senior Open. I will say he also had a little grudge with the U.S. Senior Open because he was qualified for it 2 years ago and they wouldn't let him play, okay, because of the whole LIV thing. And so he got in it last year because he won the Senior PGA. They let him play in that. He won it. That got him in the Senior Open. He then won that as well. So he's not a big fan of them, and obviously now they're not a big fan of him. By the way, Padraig Harrington won the U.S. Senior Open at the Broadmoor out in Colorado. Miller and Moulton. Basketball free agency begins 6 o'clock tonight. Hockey free agency technically begins tomorrow. We're past the halfway point of the baseball season. 21,000 is our text line. I actually have the info to the text line. I can get your texts. I can respond to your texts. Listen, this is as 21st century as I've been on this show in a very long time. You can also Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Judge is at 30 homers. Cal Raleigh's at over 30 homers. Ohtani's at 30 homers. Now, while it is June, we are technically just past the midway point of the season, but still, we wondered, would people still be able to hit 60-plus home runs? And once again, how much damage to the sport is Bonds, Sosa, McGuire's home run totals, in that these stellar seasons are basically no longer talked about because the home run record is 73. I mean, is anybody going to get all bent out of shape because Cal Raleigh's trying to break the Aaron Judge American League home run record if he gets close to 62? I just don't see it. But we have 3 guys still in June at the 30 home run mark in baseball. We also, before July, have at least 2 10-plus game winners in the major league. So some terrific individual seasons going on and a lot of good division races. Couple of teams beginning to pull away, like we've already declared the Tigers and the Dodgers division champs. But the other 4 divisions, we'll see about the American League West. Houston had a hell of a June. Who knows? They may have put that division away as well. Miller and Moulton. LeBron James, as expected, did not announce his retirement over the weekend, and instead, he said, I'm coming back for at least 1 more year. It will be his 23rd season. 23rd season. No one has ever played more seasons in the NBA than LeBron James. Rick, I thought he just might leave the Lakers and handpick the team that he wanted to go to. Because at this rate, if you're playing for a championship, you're not playing for the Lakers in 26. But he's coming back to the Lakers. So fill in the blanks. Now, he's making $52.6 million. I mean, he's not going to suffer that much. I mean, even with the California taxes, I mean, he's still going to do okay. Miller and Moulton.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks lie peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floormeisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floormeisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floormeisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Adam, I wish there was something to talk about with the Jags and Gators football on June 30th. I watched the PGA Tour on CBS, Robes. Not that I'm against the others. In fact, I worked the Senior Open at the Broadmoor, but I didn't watch golf Saturday, and I picked up the playoff, all 5 holes of it.
That was fun yesterday.
It was.
I'm sure the CBS local affiliate wasn't so thrilled because the playoff went well over an hour.
Right through the local news, right through the national news. They just went right to 60 minutes.
I noticed that too.
Mm-hmm. A lot of money lost there.
Big fan of this pot gator kid. He's 20 years old.
Yeah.
The driving average of 317 yards.
Did you see the 2 drives? Okay. That those guys hit on the par 5, which was like the 4th playoff hole, 363 and 361.
Yeah. Unreal. Yeah, I think, like I say, 20 years old, that pot gator. I think I'm saying his name right. He's man.
Pot Gator, I think.
Pot gator.
I thought so. He's South African.
Yep. And his dad was there, and so was one of the other players in the playoffs. And there's kind of a cool shot. They're sure their 2 dads were walking up the fairway together on one of the playoff holes. Not Chris Kirk, but the other one, Geiser something. Not a lot of sexy names in that tournament.
No. Not only after the U.S. Open, but after an elevated event. Mm-hmm. Big names are we're tired.
Yep. And they got only 3 weeks till the British?
Mm-hmm. Many of them will play in the Scottish, which I think is the week before. Deadstruck, it's real easy. The first 2 second-round draft picks were given fully guaranteed contracts. So now the agents for the other 30 second-round picks are all asking for fully guaranteed contracts, and the rest of the teams are saying, no, we're not going to do it. And so they're going to wait for training camps to open here in 3.5 weeks and have a stare down and see whether or not the guys show up or not. Because I don't think the teams are going to give in on this. Because if they do, well, then first and second round picks are going to, and the other thing is fully guaranteed for a second round pick. So I think we will have an impasse.
About 30 seconds here, David.
I think the teams will win, Deadstruck.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Mark is off all week. Rick Church on the other side of the glass, sitting in his place. 21,000 is the text line. By the way, Rick, first text was a fan of yours.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What's up, Rick? Super excited to hear you all week in the morning.
Wow.
It's like double dipping because you were on the Southwest Florida local afternoon show last week. You are the man. This is coming from Gas Pump Guy.
Gas Pump Guy. It's great to hear from you, my friend. We have the crazy texter names for all of our regulars on that program, David.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So he's Gas Pump Guy.
Gas Pump Guy, yeah.
All right. Well, he's happy to see you.
Oh, fantastic. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Time now for
the starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
We are off to a phenomenal start. Number one, baseball. Orioles took 2 or 3 from the Rays to slow Tampa Bay down just a touch. 5-1 the final yesterday. Rays now a game and a half back of the Yankees, who took 2 of 3 from the A's. Judge hit 2 homers. He now has 30. Jazz Chisholm with a homer and 4 RBIs. Yankees won 12-5. Jays are hanging tight. They're just 3 back. They took 2 or 3 from the Red Sox. Toronto 5-3 winners. Boston 4 games under 500. The Marlins are red hot. They've won 7 in a row. They swept Arizona on the road after sweeping San Francisco on the road. Marlins rallied for 5 in the 8th and beat the Diamondbacks 6-4. They come back home. They'll play 2 series at home. Do you think anyone has noticed? Do you think anyone will show up at the ballpark and go, hey, guys, nice little effort here. Way to go. Or there'll be less than 10,000 in the ballpark for all their weekday games. Phillies took 2 or 3 from the Braves. They beat them 2-1. Their lead in the East is a game and a half over the Mets, who got swept in Pittsburgh. And each day it kept getting worse. 12-1 the final yesterday. Mets have lost 13 of 16. O'Neal Cruz with a pair of homers for the Pirates. The Astros have won 6 of 7. Their lead in the West is 6.5. They beat the Cubs 2-0 to take 2 of 3 in that series. Altuve's 2-run homer was the difference. Seattle remains in second in the West, and they remain the final wild card team in the American League. Mariners beat Texas 6-4 and 12. All 3 games in that series went extra innings. The Nats in extra innings beat the Angels 7-4 and 11. Ron Washington, the manager of the Angels, is out for the rest of the year for health reasons. This is very Terry Francona-ish from a couple years ago. We hope that Wash can go back in 2026. Baseball is better with him in it. The Rockies were down to their final out on the road in Milwaukee, and Orlando Arcia hit a 2-out tying home run in the 9th, and then Colorado beat the Brewers in 11-4-3. Colorado an inspired 19-65. The Cardinals swept the Guardians 7-0. They're 2.5 back of the Cubs. Brewers, despite the loss, are just 2 back. The Reds are 5 back. They scored 2 in the 9th, beat the Padres 3-2. Dodgers on a roll. They've won 6 of 7. Remember 2 weeks ago, they had a 1-game lead over both the Padres and the Giants? Yeah, their lead is now 7 in the West. We can declare that division over as well. Remember, their pitching staff's still a mess with injuries, and they've done nothing but add to their lead. Dodgers 5-1 over the Royals. Verlander still looking for his first win as a Giant. He threw 6 innings of 1-run ball, handed a 2-1 lead to the bullpen, who proceeded to give up 4 in the 7th, and the White Sox won 5-2. The Giants are 7.5 back. And Skubal is amazing. Took a no-no into the 5th, 7 innings of 1-hit ball, 13 strikeouts. He won his 10th straight decision. Tigers over the Twins 3-0. Detroit's lead in the Central is 11. And they are making the Twins, the Royals, and the Guardians all look like sellers instead of buyers if they don't get their acts together here really soon. Dave Parker passed away as the weekend was getting underway. The Hall of Famer was 74. Basketball free agency begins at 6 o'clock tonight. LeBron picked up his player option, $52.6 million he'll make next year with the Lakers. James Harden technically declined his player option and then signed a 2-year, $81+ million extension with the Clippers. Bobby Portis will stay in Milwaukee, 3 years, $44 million. Utah trades Colin Sexton to Charlotte for Nurkic, the center. Heat guard, this is interesting. The Heat guard, Duncan Robinson, had a $20 million player option for next year. He turns it down. Reportedly, Robinson and the Heat are negotiating an extension. The whole Miami Heat fan base is like, no, we don't want him back. Save the money. Spend it on somebody good. This will be very interesting to see what happens here, because unlike Randall and some other players who turned down the option and immediately announce their extension, that didn't happen here. I wonder if Duncan Robinson just gambled and lost. T-Wolves re-signed Julius Randle, 3 years, $100 million. That's after re-signing Naz Reid over the weekend. He gets $25 a year for 5 years. That's $5 for $1.25. And Pistons guard Malik Beasley being investigated by the feds on allegations of betting on NBA games and NBA prop bets. Not last year when he was with the Pistons, the year before when he was with Milwaukee. Hockey. Free agency gets underway tomorrow. Sam Bennett will not be among them. He re-signed with the Panthers, 8 years, $8 million per. Tampa Bay weighed forward Connor Sheary to save $2 million on the cap. The Leafs re-signed John Tavares. He takes a big-time home discount. The guy who was making big money the last 7 years just signed for 4 years at a little over $4 million per. In other words, third-line center money. Meanwhile, Matthew Knees, nearly $8 million a year, just under it. He re-signs with Toronto for 6 years. Interesting situation in Dallas. Their general manager got the job 12 years ago, Jim Nill. The very first thing he did as GM was fire the coach. Coach's name was Glenn Gulutzan. 12 years later, Nill hires Glenn Gulutzan to be head coach of the Stars. That's interesting. Maybe Gulutzan will take them that next step they've lost in the conference finals 3 years in a row. Claude Giroux, the longtime Flyer, he re-signs with Ottawa for 1 year, $2 million. And a good trade by the Wings, in my opinion. They took on a little more salary, but they got a better goalie. They traded Peter Mrazek to Anaheim for John Gibson. Gibson's owed about $6 million a year for 2 years. Mrazek was owed $4 million for just this year. But Detroit upgraded in the Nets. Golf, PGA Tour was in Detroit for the Rocket Classic. 20-year-old South African Aldrich Potgieter. With his first career win, he won on the 5th playoff hole. Keegan Bradley finished T41, and the LIV golfer from years past who got the special exemption, James Pyatt, made the cut and finished T73. Padraig Harrington won the U.S. Senior Open by 1 over Stuart Sink, and Patrick Reed won a 4-way playoff to win the LIV event in Dallas. He's supposedly not being considered for the U.S. Ryder Cup team. I think he should be. He's playing really well, and there aren't 12 American golfers better than him. Not right now. Soccer in that Club World Cup, as expected, PSG kind of toyed with Inter Miami, beat them 4-0. One of the goals was an own goal, but all 4 goals were scored in the first half. And in the CONCACAF Gold Cup, a fascinating match between the United States and Costa Rica. Costa Rica scored early on a penalty kick. The U.S. with one late first half, then one early second half. They're dominating up 2-1, and then they give up a good scoring chance and a goal in the 71st minute. We go to penalties. That's where the upsets happen. The U.S. goalie saved not one, not two, but 3 penalty kicks. And the U.S. won in penalties over Costa Rica to advance to the semis. And instead of facing Canada, they're going to face Guatemala, who upset the Canadians in penalties. Mexico advanced on the other side. So Mexico and the U.S. each a win away from meeting one another for the Gold Cup title. WNBA, Caitlin Clark named to the All-Star team. In fact, she was named a captain because she had the most votes. And not only that, she'll have a new Kobe shoe introduced in her name later today. Our buddy Carl Semesco and the Atlanta Dream, they keep winning. They beat New York 90-81. The Minnesota Lynx are 14-2. They beat Connecticut by 39. And hey, give it up for Angel Reese. Taking a lot of flack, deservedly so. Last 2 weeks, she's played great. She had 24 points and 15 rebounds in Chicago's road win at Los Angeles yesterday. Just saying. And Dwayne Lucas, he went into hospice a week ago. He passed away over the weekend. The legendary horse trainer was 89 years old. He won over 20 Breeders' Cup races. He trained 15 Triple Crown winners. Dwayne Lucas was 89. And it took place Saturday night, but NASCAR was racing in Atlanta and a very popular win. Chase Elliott, a Georgia kid who hadn't won all year, won to secure his spot in the playoff. He made a last lap pass to win in Atlanta. And as we approach 9 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories and Chase Elliott winning in Atlanta here on Miller and Moulton. Anything there interest you, Rick, from the weekend, or did you just eyes glaze over during that? Which, don't feel bad. That's what happens to Mark during the starting 5.
No, I've become a big fan of the PGA Tour, David, in the last couple of years.
Well, sure, you're getting older, so there you go.
And I really enjoyed watching the Rocket Mortgage Classic this weekend in Detroit. The playoff yesterday was great. 3 players going into a playoff, and 2 of them going 5 holes to determine the winner. I enjoyed that very much. Also, you mentioned the Minnesota Lynx. Kind of a funny story, because I'm a big fan of the Lynx and follow them on social media and such. They're Alex Rodriguez, along with Mark Lowry, the new owner of the Timberwolves, also now have the Minnesota Lynx.
Right.
And so Alex Rodriguez held a little press conference in which he was talking about the Lynx and about their future and what their plans are, and such and such the day after they took over the franchise. Well, social media kind of exploded with Lynx fans because A-Rod was wearing a Minnesota Timberwolves polo at this press conference to talk Minnesota Lynx. And a lot of the Lynx fans were like, what's the deal, man? You can't afford a Lynx shirt but that was interesting. So,
well,
everybody talks about A-Rod, but really, David, the money guy is a guy named Mark Lowry. He's listed as the governor of the organization, and Alex Rodriguez as the associate governor. So
right. I guess A-Rod, though, will be the face of the Lynx. Lowry is technically running the T-Wolves, and A-Rod, I guess, is the guy one spot up on the totem pole for the Lynx. I think that's why A-Rod did the Lynx presser. But, yeah, everybody's territorial, Rick. You know that.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're territorial, too, sometimes, and we all are.
The Lynx are a popular franchise in Minnesota.
Yes, they are. They've won, 4 championships?
Yes, they have.
Lost in the finals last year and are off to a 14-2 start.
Controversially so last year in that finals.
Yes, they did, to New York. Yep. I don't think we're going to go back down that road, but you are correct. Yes, they did. A very poorly officiated, controversial finals between New York and Minnesota. Miller and Moulton. Trent Bally will join us all week long in the bonus hour at 9 a.m. Eastern. So there. Otherwise, it's just us all week long, at least until the best of show on Friday. When we come back, I got a question of the day for you.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks lie peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton.
And robes, I do think that qualifies as distant. Yes. That is way down the family tree. But it counts.
I see one of our Twitch texters said the PGA Tour, great sleep opportunity. I love it. I don't know why. Just falling in love with the week to week grind of the tour and the players, and it's always competitive. It's fun to watch.
Look at this. I'm answering texts. Well, first, Adam, I think it will be, can they convince Tiger to play the Champions Tour? And then it would be fascinating if Charlie is good enough to be a PGA Tour player, because it'd be kind of like the Dale Jr. situation in NASCAR.
Coming back in about 25 seconds.
All right. Yeah, guys, in terms of the freezing, moving, or just, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to just, for lack of a better phrase, deal with it. It's out of our control.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday, the final day of June. Thanks so much for being with us. Mark off all week on a well-deserved, much-needed family vacay. Rick Church is on the other side of the glass in Southwest Florida. If you tune into the show, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, or on our YouTube channel, that's who you see. Even though his moniker says that Mark Miller, that's just a hole to get us on the air. It's complicated. I wouldn't worry about it. Trent Bally scheduled to join us final hour of the show all week long. Friday is the 4th, and we'll have a best of show. So live Monday through Thursday this week. Trent will join us for the bonus hour all 4 days. I said heading into break that I would have kind of a question of the day. I don't know how good of a question it is, but I am curious. Because, Rick, as we've established, you're a Minnesota sports fan. So maybe the answer here is obvious. I don't know. But NBA free agency gets underway at 6 o'clock tonight. NHL free agency gets underway tomorrow. And it just got me thinking about free agency. By the way, not a good NBA free agency year. It'll likely be a very active NBA trade week. It is a good NHL free agency class, at least at the top end. And teams have some money to spend, and they haven't had that since the pandemic. So the expectation is there'll be some decent activity in the NHL. But I got thinking about free agency. What's the best free agent that your team has ever signed? Because I got to thinking about my teams, and almost all of their best acquisitions were trades. I grew up a Mets, Giants, Knicks, and Rangers fan. Rangers, Messier, trade. Knicks, Earl Monroe, DeBusschere to lead them to titles back in the late 60s and early 70s. Both trades. Trying to think, even in their quote heyday in the 90s, which wasn't a heyday, they didn't win anything, but it's the best period of basketball they've had in the last 50 years. Jalen Brunson. Now, you could argue, in all seriousness, Jalen Brunson may go down in history as the best free agent signing by that franchise. And I just started going through my franchises. In the Mets case, Keith Hernandez was a trade. Gary Carter was a trade. Mike Piazza was a trade with the Marlins. And what's the best free agent signing that your team has had? Because in my case, Rick, almost all of the tremendous signings are not signings, they're trades. And I'm just curious, like in Twins history, is it Jack Morris?
Yeah. And, it's kind of hard sometimes, David, to go back and think, well, was that a trade or was that a free agent? Jack Morris certainly jumps out.
That was a free agent.
As a free agent. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Right. And another one that kind of jumped to me immediately as a Vikings fan was when they signed Brett Favre.
Okay. And, well, hold on.
That was exciting day.
But didn't they trade for Favre, or did the Jets release him and he signed because Favre had said to the Jets, listen, I'm only really interested in playing for this guy who's going to call the plays over there. I have to look that up. Did the Jets trade him, or did they technically cut him and you guys signed him?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they cut him. I'm pretty sure that was a free agent signing. I don't think that was a trade situation.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, that was great for 1 year, brought us to the NFC Championship game. The infamous Bounty Gate game with the New Orleans Saints, which they lost, of course. But that one, and some of them, David, aren't necessarily like that they were great contributors to the team. But I can't recall if it was free agent trade. When the Twins brought Dave Winfield into Minnesota during that the 87 championship season, was pretty cool as well. But again, I don't recall if he was a free agent or if he was traded.
Well, but Winfield wasn't on the 87 Twins. Okay. When you guys got Winfield at the very end of his career, he wasn't even on the 91 Twins. Okay. So, I mean, Paul Molitor, I mean, seriously.
David knows more about the Twins than I do. I thought Winfield was on that 87 team. No? 88?
No, because he played the 80s with the Yankees.
Okay.
With Winfield. He signed a 10-year deal when he went to the Yankees in 81, and they traded him to the Angels in the final year of the deal. So, no, he was with the Yankees. It's funny. The Yankees didn't win, but they had Winfield, Mattingly, and Ricky Henderson for like a 3.5 year stretch at the top of their order and still couldn't win. So, but I'm just,
well, of course, most of the Twins franchise history, they were known as being, one of the cheapest teams in the league. They were not really big on signing big name free agents.
You're right, by the way. Favre signed with the Vikings in mid-August.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, the Jets ultimately just released him, and he signed with the Vikings. So, I mean, Peyton Manning signed with the Broncos. Can't imagine in Denver sports has there been a better free agent signing than Peyton Manning. But when you think about it, there are far more trades or your guy is just homegrown than there are free agent signings. We've had a couple of Bucks fans who have brought up like Simeon Rice or Hardy Nickerson. Good signing. Simeon Rice, who should be talked about more for the Hall of Fame, but Simeon Rice, along with Spires, the ends on that 2002 Bucks team, should be talked about.
Yeah, and just going back to the Twins, I looked this up. So I think I was confusing with Chili Davis, who the Twins signed as a free agent for the 1991 pennant run.
Yes.
And, he had a pretty good year for a guy who was on the backside, but was a big contributor. That's what I was thinking. Chili Davis in 91.
Yeah, he was your DH in
Yes.
91. And yes, he was a key player. But I'm just asking you, the sports fan, pick the team, your best free agent signing. And it has to be a signing, because you'll be surprised how many times your best player was acquired in a trade as opposed to a free agent signing. And my point in bringing this up, besides the fact that, hey, it's June 30th, nothing wrong with going back in time, is to just point out how free agency doesn't work as well as we'd like to think that it will. That you're better off, or at least so far, historically, you've been better off acquiring your elite players via trade as opposed to winning the bidding war. Because oftentimes the best players don't make it to a bidding war. Like, I think you could safely say that the Yankees' best free agent signing is Reggie Jackson. I think you could safely say that. Ruth was acquired in a trade. So many of their other stars were all homegrown. Think of all the free agent signings the Yankees have had.
I was going to say, that's got to be a huge list, right?
So you mean to tell, think about it. So they've gone almost 50 years and they haven't been able to have a free agent signing nearly as good as Reggie back in 77. So that's all. Just asking you to think your team, your favorite team, what's your best. We've had a couple Pistons fans say Chauncey Billups. Okay. Yeah. Now, I got to trust you on this, that he was, in fact, a free agent signing and not a trade, because Chauncey bounced around. A Lightning fan says best free agent signing, Dave Andreychuk. Okay. All right. But that's all. NBA free agency gets underway officially in 11 hours. Hockey free agency officially tomorrow. Just got me thinking about free agency. And also, how many big-time NFL free agent signings have we had? Technically, Rick, you're right. Favre was a free agent signing by the Vikings, traded to the Jets.
Right.
But free agent signing by the Vikings. It was a year, but it was a special year. But Peyton Manning was a free agent signing. He was released for medical reasons by the Colts. Drew Brees was a free agent signing, famously or infamously. If you're a Dolphins
fan, yeah,
right. Mm-hmm. So, I think you could argue Drew Brees is the best free agent signing in the history of the league. He was a good quarterback with the then San Diego Chargers. He wasn't Drew Brees.
And if I remember, Nick Saban was a Dolphins coach at the time and has said the story many times since. He really pushed the Dolphins to sign Drew Brees, but it's the team doctors that said, nah, we're not sure if he's healthy. But
yeah, Rick, there's a few of us who have a hard time believing that narrative.
No?
Because there's never been anything that Nick Saban has been in charge of in which someone else had the final word except Nick Saban. And all of a sudden, with the Drew Brees story, we are to be believed that Nick Saban got outranked by a trainer. Right. Uh-huh. Yeah. One of the biggest control freaks in sports of the last 30 years got outvoted by a team doctor. Right. Mm-hmm. I think that's just somebody who's trying to clean up their legacy.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
TC, I think Chris Carter is, I mean, was he technically a free agent signing? Yeah, but I mean, he was waived and in a drug suspension. So, but technically was a free agent. But see, that's just it, James Tidwell. Doyle Alexander was a trade. And Clark, yes, we're happy to be up and running as well. Irish, I think Tony Dorsett was at the end. Plus, then he got hurt. To definitely make it the end. Ooh.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Mark is off all week. Rick Church on the other side of the glass, making sure that we get on the air, we stay on the air, chiming in when asked, and sometimes when not. You know, that's what you listen. You get up at 5 a.m. You show up for this Mon Pa show. Okay. You get to talking to the microphone pretty much whenever you want. Rick, I will say, you know, we made the declaration last segment that Drew Brees, greatest free agent signing in NFL history. And someone said, Reggie White. Now, Brees obviously had a much longer Saints career than Reggie did Packers career. But the impact of Reggie White signing with the Packers was a BFD.
Change the whole franchise.
And change their perception around the league.
Yep.
Yes.
Somebody mentioned Tom Brady for the Bucks too, which, you know, was great for 1 year.
Yeah. Well, hey, come on now. You know, you've been around 45 years. You've won one Super Bowl. Guy shows up, wins you another one. I mean, hey, if Favre had taken the Viking, you think that the Favre free agent signing might be the best free agent signing in Vikings history. He was there 2 years. The second year was injury plagued. He didn't play much. Okay. I mean, 1 year can do it, man. I mean, as a Marlins fan said in our Twitch chat room, Rick, Pudge Rodriguez, you could argue, is the greatest free agent signing in Marlins history. He played for him for a year. Won the World Series.
And that was the thing with Brett Favre. Just gave us, you know, so much hope. Had a great season.
Yes.
Up until that infamous NFC Championship game, which
the very end
still
of it.
Sticks in my craw, David.
Well, and until you get back,
yeah,
okay, and come within a play of going to the Super Bowl, I can see where, in fact, it would. If we had a poll question today, all right, I would think we would say best NFL free agent signing ever: Brees, Reggie White, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Peyton 4 years in Denver, Brady 3 years in Tampa. Reggie was technically 7 in Green Bay, I think. 93 to 99, I think, in Green Bay. And Brees obviously was a long run. It was 15 years in New Orleans. all four responsible for one Super Bowl win. So just asking, NBA free agency begins in 10 plus hours. NHL free agency begins tomorrow. Got me thinking about free agency in sports. And what is your team's best free agent signing? Rick, for what it's worth, a Vikings fan on the text line, 21,000, wondered aloud about Randall Cunningham. And Randall was, actually, Randall didn't play in 1997. He didn't retire, but he didn't play. Nobody picked him up. He stayed home. He got healthy. He talked Denny Green into bringing him on board as the backup quarterback in 98. Brad Johnson gets hurt early. Randall and the Vikings go 15-1 and nearly make the Super Bowl.
Nearly again. Yeah, that infamous another NFC championship game loss. Yes. And Randall Cunningham was a great quarterback that year.
Yeah, he was.
But
Randy Moss, a rookie, unstoppable.
Yep.
Chris Carter, still elite. Yeah. But I mean, your best free agent signing can be a guy who only played a year, you know.
Sure.
Cunningham was then the starter the next year, lost his job midway through to Jeff George. So, I mean, his Vikings career, I think, was 2 years. But
one of them was great.
Yeah, it was. It was. So, anyway, your team's best free agent signing, 21,000 on the text line, or chime in the Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. And yes, I can see your texts. In fact, I have even responded. Yes, I have. During the show, I have responded to texts. Huh? That's pretty good for me. All right. Time now for the best thing we've seen today. And it is brought to you by Air Advantage. 18 months, no interest, no payments available when you deal with Air Advantage, a Ream Pro partner. 2 ways to contact them, myairadvantage.com or 239-433-4635 for Air Advantage. I got 2 things for you, Rick. Don't know if you saw either one. So the NHL draft, the Islanders had the number 1 pick, and they drafted the young man Matthew Schaefer. And he was expected to go number 1. His mom passed away after a long fight with breast cancer last year. So the dad's crying, and the young man is walking on stage, and he's clearly thinking of his mom. And the New York Islanders did an unbelievably classy thing. They did 2 things, actually. You know, when you're drafted first overall, they got the jersey waiting for you. Well, they already had the breast cancer ribbon embroidered over the left breastplate on the jersey. And as he puts the jersey on, he looks down and he sees it. And he starts to get more emotional, and he points to it, and then he points up into the sky. And they had his mom's initials embroidered inside of the collar of the jersey that obviously he will always have with him. I just thought that was a very classy, well done gesture by the New York Islanders. Well done. Nice job. And let's give it up for a fan base. Ketel Marte, remember the ugly incident against the White Sox early last week? And the Yahoo in the crowd who was yelling awful things about Marte's mom, who was killed in a car accident 8 years earlier, brought Marte to tears, the stuff that the fan was yelling at him. So the series ends in the south side of Chicago, and the Diamondbacks return home to face the Marlins and get swept by the Marlins. But let's just put that aside. First game that Ketel Marte is back in Arizona. Every single time he came to the plate, Diamondback fans gave him a standing ovation. Good job, guys. Way to pay attention. All right. There you go. Way to stand up and be heard. Good for you. Nice gesture. Won by an organization, won by a fan base. So Matthew Schaefer, Ketel Marte, the Islanders organization, and the Diamondback fans. Some of the coolest things that we saw over the weekend, brought to you by Air Advantage, 18 months, no interest, no payments. They're a Ream Pro partner. Go online, myairadvantage.com, myairadvantage.com. So I don't know if guesses is the accurate word, but suggestions as to best free agent signing that your favorite team has had, and make sure it was a free agent signing and was not a trade, because oftentimes it was a trade. So best free agent signing. I nominated that the best free agent signing in Denver sports history was Peyton Manning. All right. Michael in our Twitch chat room says, well, I don't know. Far and away, the best Rockies free agent pickup ever was Larry Walker, Hall of Famer. But Peyton took you to 2 Super Bowls and won you one, even if he wasn't a star player for the second one. But I think we would all recognize that you weren't getting to and winning that Super Bowl with Brock Osweiler at quarterback.
Somebody else mentioned Kurt Warner, David.
For Arizona?
Well, I mean, technically when he joined St. Louis, he was a free agent, right? Because
I came from the World League. And I mean, is that technically, does that qualify? Yes.
Any team could have signed him.
But Arizona was a free agent signing, though. That was 2 teams later. And Arizona brought him in. So,
and went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, obviously. But, all right, I like Kurt Warner. I don't know if it makes the list. Because I think also people know what we meant, and we're way late. We got to take a break. Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122.
My bad. I need to pay attention to that clock more.
Well, I do too.
Yeah, I know that's my job.
Ketchup bottles till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks lie peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe
and sound.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No, Paul, we haven't, because I don't know how much interest there is. I feel differently than everybody else. Okay, I think the ASUN is falling apart, and that it could become the weakest non-historically black Division I college in major college sports. They're going to be, a year from now, they're going to be left with 7 schools: FGCU, Stetson, Jacksonville, North Florida, Lipscomb, Bellarmine, and Queens in Charlotte. I mean, I think they're going to have a couple D2 schools make the jump up to D1 in Florida and join them. But, I mean, how good of a conference is that? Now, FGCU should be able to do really well, but I mean, having half the conference get up and leave and join the WAC and then this consortium, I don't know how that's good for the ASUN. But, you know, everybody's trying to spin it, but that's my analysis. Now, if FGCU winning is all you care about, then it could turn out really good, because they're going to be in a really weak conference. I mean, really weak. I do think, hello, I think Tampa and Nova Southeastern are going to be the 2 schools that make the jump in a year. Oh, Puck, it's going to become worse in every sport. Yeah, it's not my camera, it's the internet connection. It's usually the internet connection, you know. It's not my internet connection, because mine's rock solid, so I don't know what to tell you.
Coming back in about 30.
Baxberg, they didn't have an argument as an at-large.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark off all week. Rick Church sitting on the other side of the glass in our Southwest Florida studios. You can text the show at 21,000. You can also chime in via the Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. In honor of NBA free agency technically getting underway at 6 o'clock tonight and NHL free agency getting underway tomorrow, I just asked, what's the best free agent signing that your team has ever had? Doesn't have to be an NBA team, doesn't have to be an NHL team, but it does have to be a free agent signing. And you'd be surprised how many of your team's best signings were not. They were trades. And that's part of the point. Now, I will say a Philly sports fan chimed in on the text line and said, Pete Rose, that was good. He played 4 years with the Phillies, 80 through 83. They went the 2 World Series. They won 1. They made the playoffs 3 of the 4 years. Yeah, that was a great signing. Even Mike Schmidt said, Pete's the guy who got us over the hump, taught us how to win, made us a winner. Because the Phillies had won the division in 76, 77, and 78, but they couldn't do anything against the Dodgers or the Reds when they got to the NLCS. Things were different when Pete Rose was on the team. Then again, we wonder, was a guy who left Philadelphia, Reggie White, the best? Certainly one of the best free agent signings of all time. But Rick, another Philadelphia sports fan, chimed in on the text line and said, how about Saquon Barkley? Which, once again, how many years does a guy have to contribute in order for it to be a great signing? I mean, honestly, we're not wishing anyone injury or harm. But what if Saquon gets hurt this year? And last year ends up being his one big year in Philadelphia. I mean, how much more does Barkley have to give the Eagles for Eagles fans to go, that was a great signing? Yeah, I'd do that sucker again.
Well, like I just said about Favre, one great year, man, they will always have that Super Bowl championship. And man, he was integral. He was, nearly a record-breaking season. So I think you can already call that one a great free agent signing, David.
And arguably the best one in Eagles history. And we don't know how many more years he's going to give. We hope it's another half dozen great years and that he's an Eagle when he goes into Canton. Needs to stay healthy for just a touch longer, I think, to get to Canton. Okay, probably needs 2 more healthy years. They don't have to be 2,000-yard seasons, but I think Saquon needs 2 healthy years probably to get to Canton, just so that the numbers back up. I think he'll then qualify if he can have 2 more healthy years. But that's another discussion. But best free agent signings. Because that's the period of time we're getting into here in basketball and hockey. Okay, it's going to be a month of trade talk and eventually trades made in baseball. And obviously in football, we've already had free agency. Maybe the Dolphins make a couple deals before camp. We'll see. But best free agent signings. If we had a poll question today, we would probably have an NFL free agency poll question. Best free agent NFL signing. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Reggie White. With Saquon an honorable mention. Not quite there yet. What's interesting is all 5 guys delivered a Super Bowl championship to the team that signed them. Don't know what more you need to qualify as a great signing than a ring and a parade, but that'll do it for me. And remember, you got 2 sports fans on this show, Rick Church and myself. We'll just take one with our teams. One.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I was thinking about you over the weekend, in which I'm like, man, because obviously on this show we talk about my team's championship droughts, but I mean, I know the teams that you root for, and unless you're going to claim the Minnesota Lynx,
well,
all right, which, you know, I know it scratches a little bit of an itch, but doesn't scratch a big one.
Not much.
Okay, you're 34 years and counting here.
Yes,
your last parade.
And 2 back-to-back Western Conference finals with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But there's always something in the way, you know, in that power conference. So
right. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, wow, his hockey team's never won one.
No.
Okay. His basketball team has never won one because the last Minnesota NBA team to win one was called the Lakers.
Yeah.
His football team's never won one. Jeez.
0 for 4 even. Yeah.
Right. And haven't been in the game in almost 50 years. That's the other thing. I mean, haven't been in the game.
The Vikings?
Yeah. You haven't been in the Super Bowl in almost 50 years.
Yeah. Literally in the game, no, they haven't. But we've talked about how close they've come on at least 2 occasions where they should have been, David. They were, you know, they were a heavy favorite. Yeah, in that 99 game. Heavy favorite at home against Atlanta. But anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
But Rick, they haven't gotten Rick, how old are you?
61.
Okay. So you were what, 12 when the last time the Vikings played in the Super Bowl?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were 12 and they lost to the Raiders, and if I saw you in the hall at school on Monday, and if I said, boy, I hope you enjoyed the game last night, because I don't know if they're going to go back there in your lifetime. Okay, you're going to be thinking, well, what am I going to be hit by a bus soon? I mean, what are you talking about?
Right, because that was the 4th time they had been there. So, you know, even
time in 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were kind of like, you know, this was the norm. I honestly felt worse for my dad, David, than I did myself. I mean, seeing my dad's disappointment. You know, my dad had been a Vikings fan, you know, since their inception in 1960. So,
but best free agent signing by your team. You know, that's what we're asking. With NBA free agency beginning in 10 hours and NHL free agency beginning tomorrow. So that's all. And I brought it up mostly to get everybody thinking and realizing that actually, wow, the trade route has worked a lot better than the free agency route for most teams. And also just how many of the greats on your teams were homegrown. Like, no, we drafted him. No, drafted him. Come to think of it, we drafted him. I mean, that's all. That just gets you thinking that the more you think about it, this is actually not the way to go. This needs to be used. If you're going to be good, this should be used to get you over the top. To go get the guy, you know, in the Saints case, they needed a quarterback. I mean, you could argue they hadn't had a quarterback since Archie. I know they rented Stabler at the very end of his career. Okay. Bobby Hebert, he was okay. He was serviceable. He was all right. They ran the ball. They had a good defense. Bobby wasn't winning a ton of games. But, Peyton got Denver over the top. Brady got the Bucks over the top. Reggie White, with a developing Brett Favre, acquired via trade, by the way, got the Packers over the top and changed the outlook and the fortunes of a franchise. I mean, literally, since the Packers signed Reggie White, they've been viewed differently for over 30 years. They were a punchline between Lombardi and Reggie White. They were a joke. We've all seen the NFL Films video of John McVay coaching an expansion team, telling his players, if they don't get behind the white line, I'm going to ship all of you to Green Bay. And Reggie White changed everything. It was shocking when he went to Green Bay. And they've been the Packers ever since. And that's not really how we referred to them in the 20 years leading up to it.
Put them on the map again.
Definitely.
Made it okay to go to Green Bay.
Definitely. I mean, look at the Packers also. They've made two really big free agent signings. Reggie White, Charles Woodson. Now, obviously, they've gotten lucky, and, they traded for Favre, they drafted Rodgers, they drafted Love, so give them the credit they deserve. But really, they've had this 30-plus year run. They've dipped into free agency big time twice. So just want you thinking. Best free agent signing for your team. Or it could be your city's teams. If you're a fan of, like in Rick's case, he's a Minneapolis sports fan. He's got 4 pro teams. Going down the list here. Best free agent signing. And you'd be surprised sometimes how hard it is to come up with even one great one for your city. So that's all.
A lot easier to think of big trades they made that improved your team, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
You mentioned Favre, and it's hard to remember he was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons.
Correct.
And played there for almost a year. Yeah.
Played 1 year. He was third string quarterback. I think he threw, don't even know if he threw a pass. Yep. So just with NBA and NHL free agency, it's on our mind. Best free agent signing by your team or by your city's teams. And, I think you all know what we're getting at. Like, technically, if a player is released and you pick them up off waivers or they're sitting home on their couch, are they technically a free agent? Yes. But that's not what we mean. Sorry, I'm not going to consider Kurt Warner being picked up by the Rams as a great free agent signing. I actually think the best free agent signing involving Kurt Warner was when the Arizona Cardinals picked him up after the Giants let him go.
The Rams, it was more of an accident, right?
Of course. They were picking up a World Football League quarterback to have an extra arm in training camp. That's like, how much credit are we giving the Vikings for signing Chris Carter? I mean, is that their best free agent signing? He was sitting home facing a drug suspension. They basically picked him up off waivers, whether it was technically off waivers or not. Sorry. Now, Randy Moss being picked up by the Patriots, the Raiders had released him. The Raiders acquired him from the Vikings, but the Raiders released him. That was a free agent signing, I do believe. Dion signing with the Niners, signing with the Cowboys. Those were free agent signings. He was a hired gun after all. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Sonny, it's funny. I may challenge that. D. Wade was drafted, the infamous 2003 draft. He was taken 5th overall. LeBron, Darko, Carmelo, Chris Bosh went before him. They'll deal them when the price is right. When somebody meets their price, they will.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this final day of June, this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us, Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark is off all week. Well-deserved, well-earned family vacay. Friday is the 4th. We'll have a best of show. Rick Church on the other side of the glass in our Southwest Florida studios. You can see him if you take in the show via YouTube or Twitch, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Rick Church, keeping the show on the tracks, just getting us from station to station. That's it. We're not saying we're going to go as fast as we normally do. We're not saying that the train car is as nice and as clean as it sometimes can be.
But it's on the tracks.
Exactly. When you pay for the train ticket, Rick, you know what you're looking for? To get from point A to point B safely.
I'm your man then, David.
I know you are, and everything else is a bonus. So our dominant topic today has been free agency. In honor of the NBA free agency getting underway in 10 hours and NHL free agency tomorrow, we've just been asking you, what is your team's best free agent signing? And it was done so in large part to get you to realize just how many of your best deals were actually trades and not free agent signings. And also to appreciate how maybe in some organizations' cases, wow, our best players were homegrown. Good job by us. But there are obviously great free agent signings that have made a difference, signings that have brought championships. That question is still out there. You can chime in, 21,000 on the text line. I've got the text line in front of me. And by the way, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I've been answering texts. Huh? Yeah, stepping up my game. And the Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, chime in the chat room. We can see it. And I'd like to think you know what we mean when we say a free agent signing. If a player is released, technically, when they're signed, are they a free agent signing? Well, yeah, because sitting home on their couch, they are a free agent. But free agency is the intent of free agency this time of year is to go pay pretty good money for someone, not pick them up off the ash heap of the sport and then they turn out to be terrific. Somebody in the Twitch chat room pointed out Jim Plunkett. Yeah, Niners cut him. Raiders picked him up. For a year, he was their third string quarterback. He ran the scout team in practice. The second year, he started off as the backup quarterback. Pastorini, the starter, got hurt. So, he hadn't played in a year and a half. It's tough that's not what we're thinking of. Kurt Warner, technically, when the Rams signed him, was he a free agent? Sure. He also was a world league quarterback who had never taken a snap in the NFL. That's not what we mean. Technically, what you're saying is true, but it's not what we mean. We're like the Eagles last year signing Saquon Barkley. The Ravens last year signing Derrick Henry. That's what we mean. So that's kind of what we're thinking. Your team's best free agent signing. And as a Marlins fan pointed out, hey, we had 1 year of Pudge Rodriguez. We won the World Series. I think he was our best signing. It can just be a year, and it can still work.
David, a friend of mine listening texted my personal phone and said, Dallas Cowboys, Deion Sanders, San Francisco 49ers, Ken Norton Jr., but the best one is Greg Maddux, Atlanta Braves.
Who chose the Braves over the Yankees, even though the Yankees offered more money. Yep, worked out pretty well for both. Now, the Yankees got a little revenge in a couple of World Series. You've got to give them that. But yes, worked out well for everyone. And that is a great free agent signing. If we did a baseball list of free agent signings, Maddux would probably make the short list. Because I think he's the best pitcher since World War II. He's got 350-something wins. Are you serious? I love my Tom Seavers, and, I can go through the list, but, anybody accuse Greg Maddux of cheating, by the way? Him and Clemens are a win apart. Who would you say was the better pitcher? That's a show right there. There was enough interest. But for another day, this is a time of year, in a way, kind of like what we're doing today. We're just shooting the bull today. We can go back over everything that happened in sports. The Marlins have won 7 in a row. Hey! Rays are just a game and a half out in the East. Hey! We can go through, the baseball and the golf and all the signings over the weekend. Chase Elliott racing his way into the playoffs with a win. U.S. men's national team through to the semis of the Gold Cup. Yeah, we can go through all that. But we're just kind of kicking it around. And one of the things that shows, websites, newspapers do this time of year is they do the Mount Rushmore. My favorite paper is the New York Post. They're doing for all the New York sports teams, each team's Mount Rushmore. And you could do a show just on those that don't make the Yankees Mount Rushmore, by the way. Honestly, it's a staggering list of talent that doesn't make the Yankees Mount Rushmore. But we were talking, Rick, late last week, and we brought up the state of Florida. And I don't mean kids that grew up here, went to high school here, and then went on and played wherever they played outside of the state. I'm talking about people who played their sports inside the state lines. And I could argue, you pick the 4 best players in the state of Florida sports history. And it doesn't matter to me, Rick, who you pick. It doesn't. You could go Marino, D. Wade, pick your greatest, Leroy Selman. I don't care. You want to go and include college guys on the list, even make it a state where we have a couple of college guys and a couple of pro guys, so that Charlie Ward and Tebow maybe are on your list. Fine, whatever. Rick, I could argue the state of Florida's Mount Rushmore is Don Shula, Bobby Bowden, Steve Spurrier, and Pat Riley. And I'd have no problem, Rick. You can come up with any 4 guys you want. I have no problem going before a group of sports fans, and you can all argue your athletes. And I'll argue the significance of those 4 men. Who's more important in the history of the Dolphins, Marino or Shula? Who's greater in the history of the Dolphins, Marino or Shula? And I could do this. I could do this with all the teams. The most significant person in the history of Florida State sports is
Bobby Bowden.
The most significant person in the history of the University of Florida sports is
Steve Spurrier.
Okay.
It's weird, David, but it makes sense because we all think players. So
I get it, and I don't know, Rick, if there's another state like it, big or small,
right, where you could create a Mount Rushmore of just coaches
and say that they're the most significant, most impactful, greatest figures in the history of sports in our state. Now, DC is saying, Riley would be tough over some of the great athletes. Yes, I think Riley would be the one, Marino versus Riley. We can all go through it. Tebow versus Riley. Should, go any team. D. Wade versus Riley, even. Yeah, whatever. I get it. Riley would be the one that we would come after. I get that. Even though, by the way, Riley's been here 30 years now. 30. And technically not the greatest free agent signing because the Knicks screamed and yelled and said you tampered, which of course they did. And the Heat technically had to trade for Riley. They had to give up a first-round pick and some cash and what have you. So Riley, you could argue, is the greatest trade in the history of Florida sports, not free agent signing. I think Shula is the greatest free agent signing, but he might have even been acquired by trade because I think he was under contract with the Colts at the time. But, I mean, if you think about it, you got to have a hell of a career as a player to say that your career was better than Pat Riley's career with the Heat. A hell of a career. You can't argue there's a player on the Heat that's more important than Riley, can you?
Not in terms of being a Heat player, no.
Okay, so we've taken that franchise off the list. Unfortunately, for some of the amazing college players that we've had in this state, your career's limited to 4 or 5 years, tops. So it's tough to outdo somebody who's got 30 on the books when you got to play 4. No matter how amazing you were during those 4. And in some cases, like Charlie Ward, you played 2 sports, for goodness sakes. But that would be my Mount Rushmore in the state of Florida. It wouldn't be a single athlete. It would be Bowden, Spurrier, Shula, Riley. And I don't think there's another state that has that dynamic. Miller and Moulton.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh, Michael, I'm well aware. We went through this last week. I'd much prefer you going by Michael than Ambient, for what that's worth. Remember, on Bring On. Yeah, I don't know why it's frozen. I think it's the internet that originates from the radio station. If it's my internet, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. You know, maybe it is the new keyboard's fault. Well, I'm glad it's a good pick.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour on this Monday, final day of June. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark off all week. Trent Bally to join us during the bonus hour, 9 o'clock Eastern, all week long. Friday's show is a best of, as we, assuming along with 99% of you, will take the 4th of July off as well. I have to admit, I'm looking forward to next year's 4th. Because I'm old enough, just like Rick Church is old enough, to remember our bicentennial. And next year, what do they call 250? I mean, it's got to be something ahead of bicentennial, right? It's got to be a longer word. But I'm kind of looking forward to, because our bicentennial, we celebrated the out of it. It was amazing. And I'm guessing we're going to go all out for 250. You know, kind of like one of those big, anniversaries, married 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. I mean, you get to 50, you go all out. Everybody flies in, you stop what you're doing. I mean, next year we'll be 250. Huh.
David, I just Googled it. Do you really want to know what we'll be calling it?
What are they called? 250?
Semi-quintessential.
What?
Semi-quincentennial. Semi-quincentennial.
Semi-quincentennial.
That's what Google's telling me. Yep.
All right. Have to admit, bicentennial, flew
off the tongue a lot easier.
Yeah, rolled off your tongue a lot nicer, but okay.
That's what we would call a 250th anniversary, a semi-quincentennial.
Okay. Sounds good. I have to admit,
wait.
It's kind of like Roman numerals. I mean, the big ones usually are very few numbers. I kind of thought they could tighten that up a little bit, but, okay. I mean, what's 250? XXL? No,
yep.
Or, I don't know.
Anyway. Isn't 100C? I thought it was C.
100C, right. 1,000 is M.
Right.
So it will be, I guess, CCL.
CCL, yeah.
CCL. So anyway, I'm looking forward to a year from now, because my guess is we're gonna spend a lot of money celebrating our semi-quincentennial.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, how easy that was.
Got to write that down, actually. I don't know if I'm going to remember that. Semi-quincentennial. Got it. All right. Miller and Moulton. So we're talking free agency. We're asking you your favorite team's free agent signing forever. And we do differentiate between, signing someone who hasn't amounted to anything yet versus, what we mean by free agency. NBA free agency begins in 9.5 hours. Spending good money to acquire somebody. NHL free agency begins tomorrow. The 14, 15 million a year Mitch Marner's going to get to leave the Leafs. That's a free agent signing. I know technically if somebody's unemployed, even if they haven't amounted to anything yet, when you're signing them, they are a free agent. But you know what we mean by this. I made the declaration Reggie Jackson's the greatest free agent signing in Yankees history. He only played 5 years with the Yankees. I mean, there was a Yankee fan who texted in at 21,000 and said, I know it's tough to argue with Reggie, but how about CC Sabathia? And for that matter, how about Matsui? Interesting. I mean, Reggie took them to 3 World Series. They won 2. And he's a Hall of Famer, although so is CC. Thank you very much. So, interesting. Rick, I don't know if you find this accurate or not. A Chicago sports fan on our text line said, for Chicago, how about Dennis Rodman for the Bulls?
Yeah, that was huge. Absolutely.
And he, I believe, had been let go by the Spurs in 95. They didn't deal with his antics at all. They were like, okay, like 20 games, and they were done with him. So, because obviously you go through a lot of other players drafted or acquired via trade in Chicago. My question would be, how did the Cubs get a hold of Sosa? Because I know he was with the White Sox. Was that a trade? Did they acquire him via free agency? I don't remember Sosa as a free agent signing with the Cubs. If so, that would be an interesting debate. Sosa gave the Cubs a lot more years, obviously never delivered them a championship, but you could argue that, Sosa was the player on the Cubs. Rodman was the 3rd best player on the Bulls. He was just a necessary component of that dynasty.
Sammy Sosa was traded to the Cubs for Ken Patterson and George Bell.
Yeah, I think the Cubs did okay in that deal.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do. So once again, does not qualify as a free agent signing, which was really the point of bringing up your team's best free agent signing. Because when I started going through my favorite teams, I realized, wow, just about every real difference maker who was not homegrown was acquired in a trade, was not acquired in free agency. And then it got me thinking about all the money we've spent in free agency. When I say we, I mean my favorite teams. And I'm like, wow, has this money been well spent? Or should we just, try to make deals instead of writing checks? Irish football in our Twitch chat room, Ken Griffey to the Reds. That was a trade. It was a trade with the Mariners. I mean, come on. Most of these deals are trades. They're not free agent signings, because how often does an organization let even a very good player reach free agency? Never mind if it's a player that you think has a chance at greatness or is already great. Gretzky traded from the Oilers to the Kings, traded from the Kings to the Blues. I believe signed as a free agent with the Rangers, but, that's the last 4 years of his career. Just saying. That's why when they talk about Connor McDavid, he has a year left on his contract. Is it possible that the best player in the game will get up and leave a year from now and choose where it is he wants to play? Obviously, and to honor NBA free agency, which begins in 9.5 hours. Yeah. When LeBron and Chris Bosh decided to join D Wade in Miami. Yep. Tough to beat that free agent signing. Yep. Which, by the way, Rick, to go full circle, my argument last segment that the Mount Rushmore of Florida sports should be Shula, Bowden, Spurrier, and Riley. That's, to me, the biggest argument that you should make that Riley doesn't belong on the Rushmore. Is you can say, well, Riley didn't do that deal. D Wade did that deal. D Wade worked on those guys for 2 years. It started the international ball in the Olympics. Riley didn't do that deal. D Wade did that deal. He even talked him into taking less money. And he took less money so they'd all fit under the cap. Could then argue that D Wade belongs on the Mount Rushmore for his playing career, and if you want to give him credit for the LeBron and Bosh signings. Brought up in our chat room, Bonds signing with the Giants. That was a free agency move. That was big. Left the Pirates in free agency, open market, signed with the Giants. Yes, that's a biggie. Miller and Moulton.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This is Miller and Moulton.
In fact, the Giants may have only made the playoffs twice in 30 years. Yeah, Rick, I would check your mailbox because I sent something out at the same time that I sent yours, and they already got it. So
Okay, I will do that today. Like I said, I
that's
think
fine.
Friday was the last time I checked, but
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Mark is off this week. Rick Church on the other side of the glass in our Southwest Florida studios. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. He was scheduled to join us at the top of the hour, but Trent Bally will not be able to join us for the bonus hour today. Just Rick and I until 10 in the East, in the 239 and the 904. Anyway, 21,000 is the text line. Getting a lot of responses today because we've asked you a couple questions, the biggest of which is biggest and or best free agent signing that your team has ever had. NBA free agency gets underway at 6 o'clock tonight, NHL free agency tomorrow. And as I've mentioned all morning, I actually asked the question to get all of us to realize just how few impact players our teams have acquired via free agency. We've acquired many more via trades than we have via free agency. And it also, in certain organizations' case, has gotten us to realize, damn, a lot of my team's best players were homegrown. Good job by them. I'll be darned. Few people bring it up Urban Meyer because I also brought up the Mount Rushmore in Florida and made the case that I could put 4 coaches on the Mount Rushmore as being more significant, more impactful, i.e., therefore greater than any player, college or pro, that's ever played in the state of Florida, not grew up in the state of Florida, but played in the state of Florida. I said I could make the case that the Mount Rushmore of Florida sports is Shula, Bowden, Spurrier, and Pat Riley. And a few people coming after Pat Riley. Interesting to me, a few Gator fans actually bringing up Urban Meyer. And Rick, I will say, and you know, because you've been a part of sports radio for over 25 years, how important people count championships. That we've gotten a few texts from Gator people saying, oh, I don't know, I'd have to put Urban ahead of Spurrier because of 2 titles to 1. And I'm like, wait, what? Over the HBC and his significance as a player and a coach? Really?
right. I think somebody texted it, but Spurrier won the Heisman Trophy, right?
Correct.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. The Gators have 3
dual
Heisman
resume.
Trophy winners. Right. Spurrier, Werfel, Tebow. And they all have a statue out in front of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, as they should. It's tough to win one of those suckers. I mean, it is remarkable to think that Alabama didn't have a Heisman Trophy winner until Mark Ingram. And then they rattled off about 4 of them, but they went a long time, played a lot of good football, had a few pretty dang good players, never won one. In fact, they didn't even have somebody who finished second, I don't believe, until Ingram won. I think the best finish they had was 3rd. But So give me your team's best free agent signing. And then for those of you that also want to chime in on me throwing out the impactfulness, if you will, of the coaches as arguably the greatest figures in Florida sports history, I do want to bring up some of the other things going on in the sports world. Rick, you said that you really got into the 5-hole, 3-guy playoff of the Rocket Classic in Detroit last night.
It was enjoyable golf and
I
a
agree.
great golf course.
I agree. So the guy who won is a 20-year-old South African named Aldridge Potgieter.
Correct.
Do you know the list of players who have won on the PGA Tour from outside the United States in the last 100 years, younger than 21 years of age?
Well, it's got to be a short list because they did show a list of players that had just won their first tournament under the age of 21. Is a very impressive. Jordan Spieth is on there. Gene Sarazen, a couple of them go way back. I'm not recalling a lot of the other names now, but it's got to be a long time.
Because even Jack, when he picked up his first win, the 62 U.S. Open, was 22.
Yep.
Right. Rick, the list of players to win on the PGA Tour, not born in the U.S. in the last 100 years, who were not of drinking age. Until Aldrich Potgieter yesterday, there were 4. Seve Ballesteros, Rory McIlroy, Joaquin Niemann, and Tom Kim. That's the list. So no Tony Jacklin, no Gary Player, some of the great legacy international players. It's the last 100 years. So, we're not going old or young Tom Morris here. So, we are limiting this to, right around World War I, but still.
Yeah, they showed a graphic during the broadcast, and the youngest player was like 18 years old, but that was in like the early 1900s. It was a long time ago.
Yes, that does qualify. 21,000 is the text line, the Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. An interesting nominee for the state of Florida Mount Rushmore, someone nominated Howard Schnellenberger. Interesting. Helped build 2 programs, Miami and FAU. Obviously, one far greater than the other.
And a lot of commenters saying Jimmy Johnson.
Okay. Now, no, it's worthy of consideration. By the way, Jimmy won title. Does that matter to some of you? It does. I mean, we are getting inundated with people who they just count championships. I mean, and if somebody didn't win a championship, they don't consider them great. Like, I went on to say, the Barry Bonds free agent signing from the Giants in the 92 offseason, that's a legendary free agent signing. And there are quite a few people that are like, they win a title. And I'm like, they made the playoffs twice in 30 years before they signed Bonds. And from the moment they signed him for pretty much the next 15 years, they were very good. But never won the World Series. Therefore, how good of a signing can it be in some people's minds? Schnellenberger, by the way, 5 years with the U. Jimmy Johnson, 5 years with the U. Do you need more than that? Jimmy won title. Finished second 3 times, but 1 title. Schnellenberger obviously got it started, the 83 title. Most important title in the history of the program. If Jimmy had had success with the Dolphins, then I think Jimmy, and, he took him to the playoffs 3 times. He won 2 playoff games, but the type of success we're talking about. if Jimmy had had big time success with the Dolphins, then yes, I think Jimmy makes the list. I might have put him on the list over Riley.
And you can make the argument that Schnellenberger really built that program, right? Because Miami football nationally was an afterthought until Howard Schnellenberger came along, correct?
Rick, it was an afterthought south of I-4. It was an afterthought in Miami and Dade counties before Schnellenberger. Yeah. No, he saved the program. They were openly talking about should they drop down a level. You know, why are we doing this? Why are we spending the money that we are on football? And if you go back historically, there were quite a few articles written that said Schnellenberger's their last shot. And if not, they may pull the plug on this sucker. Because you also had the presidents of the universities who were much more interested in making Miami the Harvard of the South than they were about winning football games.
So he may have saved the program and created what it is today.
I was going to say he saved it and built it all at the same time. And do you have to do more than that? Now, I could also argue, what were the Miami Heat before Pat Riley? I mean, the Miami Heat were a punchline before Pat Riley. I mean, they were. They were a joke. They were a joke. They were the Packer. We talked about earlier in the show about the great free agent signings in the NFL. Drew Brees, you know, Peyton and Brady, 4 years with the Broncos, 3 years with the Bucs. Reggie White. And you said, and you're a proud Vikings fan, but you grew up in that part of the country and you have followed that division closely for obvious reasons. And you said, oh, yeah, Reggie White changed everything.
Oh, yeah.
Just changed everything.
No doubt. Made Green Bay relevant again.
Yep. And Pat Riley made a franchise relevant.
And they were still really clinging to that expansion franchise sort of vibe for a long time before he came along, right?
Well, I believe the franchise had played 6 seasons when they got Riley. I mean, you know, at what point are you no longer an expansion team? And the other thing that Pat Riley did immediately was he got Alonzo Mourning. I mean, he said, the losing stops now. Us being a joke stops right now. And within 2 years, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I mean, they've had a hell of a... Riley's been there 30 years. 30 years last month, I believe, is when he celebrated his anniversary. That's a pretty damn good run. I mean, best franchise in the state in the last 30 years. It's Miami Heat. I mean, you could argue college or pro. Now, I would say that the Gators and the Noles, they would be a healthy, you know, because remember, if we're talking the Canes, we can't count anything pre-95. You know, they won all those titles, most of them pre-95. I mean, the number one franchise in terms of success in this state in the last 30 years, college or pro. So Gator football starts with the Spurrier's Natty in 96. You know, you take Florida State's first Natty off the board in 93. If we're going the last 30 years, Florida's got 3 national championships in football. And the Heat have 3 natties in basketball. It'd be a healthy debate as to who's been the best program in this state. Florida State football's got 2 in the last 30 years. It also makes you realize how far down the list the Dolphins would be. Embarrassingly so. Marlins with 2 titles, Panthers with 2 titles. Miami with a football natty. The Gators with 3. The Noles with 2.
Tampa Bay Lightning with 2.
Tampa Bay Lightning with 3.
Oh, 3. That's right.
And Tampa Bay Bucks with 2. Yeah. Uh-huh. Dolphins haven't had a playoff win this century. Yeah. That's how far down the list they'd be. I mean, I could try to be funny here and say UCF, okay, claims more championships in the last 30 years than the Dolphins do, but boom. And for those that are bringing up other sports, come on now. All right? I mean, you guys always want to take an argument and twist it and change it. You know what we're talking about here. Miller and Moulton. So kicking around on this final day of June, on this Monday, NBA free agency begins 6 o'clock tonight. There's a bunch of people who won't be a part of it. Julius Randle, James Harden, LeBron James, they've all signed. It's not a sexy NBA free agency class. There will likely be a bigger trade or 2 or 3 than there will be free agent signing in the NBA. Hockey is different. Hockey will have a few marquee free agent signings beginning tomorrow. Miller and Moulton. 21,000's the text line. Chime in, whatever's on your mind as we head into July. And feel free, you can see both Rick and I on Twitch, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. Port Charlotte, Lake City, have a great rest of your day. The bonus hour's next.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that quite frankly saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, David.
Mm-hmm.
Can you ask Trent? Because Mark left me a note at the end of the show to send him the show files. Can you just ask him if he usually just sends them as like a full hour, or if he wants the like commercial breaks edited out?
I'm pretty sure the commercial breaks are edited out, but I'll ask.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Sonny, even though he played the 1 year with him. Yeah. No, Adam. No, not at all. It's funny though, Irish, to me, I don't feel about Riley the way that most Knicks fans do, because to me, he established the Knicks as a viable franchise again. And Van Gundy just took it over from there for the next half dozen years. So if it wasn't for Riley, Ewing would have left. I mean, what he did was, a blank move, but I mean, he got 5% ownership in the team and 10% if he stayed more than 10 years. So.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, final hour of Miller and Moulton in June, since it's the last day of June. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. A lot of people chiming in on the text line, 21,000. Well, we asked one of those open-ended questions. For the most part, there is no wrong opinion unless you're just wrong in fact. And I was just wrong in fact. I thought the Raiders cut Moss loose when the Patriots picked him up as a free agent signing. Turns out the Raiders were disgruntled with Moss, who was disgruntled with them, but they traded him to New England for a 4th-round pick. So Randy Moss was not a free agent signing, which you certainly could argue was the best free agent signing in Patriots history. And there was a Boston sports fan who kind of gave me his list by team of best free agent signings. A lot of Red Sox fans wanting to count David Ortiz as a free agent signing. Technically, are you correct? Yes. But it's not in the spirit of our topic of the day. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark is off. He'll be back a week from today. We'll be off on Friday. A best of Miller and Moulton will be airing in our place. A lot of good material there, some of which you may not have heard, but my guess is many of you will be busy. Rick Church on the other side of the glass. If you chime in on YouTube or in the Twitch chat room, that is who you see producing the show on this day. But the intent, the spirit of our topic today is because NBA free agency begins in 9 hours and NHL free agency begins tomorrow, your team's best free agent signings. And does a guy who's been released, who's picked up off the scrap heap, qualify technically as a free agent signing? Of course. They are an unrestricted free agent sitting at home on their couch. But in the spirit of NBA free agency and NHL free agency, we're talking about guys that teams actually, spent a few shekels on. They had to outbid others for. So to me, Manny Ramirez with the Red Sox is not a David Ortiz with the Red Sox is not a great free agent signing. Manny Ramirez with the Red Sox was a great free agent signing. They traded for Schilling. I'm trying to remember, did the Red Sox sign Pedro or trade for Pedro? I thought they signed him. I'd have to look that up. Leaving the Expos, I thought they signed him, but, and that's another reason why we brought up the topic today. So many of the biggest acquisitions in your favorite team's history were actually trades, even if they were not a whole lot given up for them. But you acquired them. You didn't go out and sign them. And so that's what we're asking of you. And throughout the show, obviously, people coming and going. And so you may have missed much earlier in the show, we came up with what we thought was if we had an NFL free agency poll question, best free agent signing in NFL history, the 4 that we came up with was Peyton Manning to Denver, Tom Brady to Tampa Bay, Drew Brees to the Saints, and Reggie White to the Packers. Well, how many more years and how much more has to be accomplished until Saquon Barkley makes the list? I mean, all 5 guys that we've just mentioned had led their teams to a Super Bowl championship. So a lot of great free agent signings out there. Not as many as you think, though. When you start rattling off, it's like, nope, acquired by trade. Nope, acquired by trade. So 21,000 on the text line, Twitch chat room. Your team's greatest free agent signings. And I think you realize even for teams that you don't think of as growing their own, you start to go through the list of your great players and you go, no, drafted. And it really does go to show the infrequency with which teams go into free agency and make the really impactful signing. Go into free agency and sign the player that gets them over the hump. You know, we had a Philly sports fan bring up Pete Rose. You know, he spent 4 years in Philly. They went to 2 World Series. Now, he wasn't that good on the 83 Phillies team that went to the World Series, to be honest with you. Pete was starting to show his age, but he was a big deal on the 80s Phillies. And take a look at how he performed in the playoffs, too, especially that epic 5-game LCS against the Astros. He started that comeback in Game 5 off Nolan Ryan in the 7th inning, by the way. But just wanted you to think about free agency, its real impact, and how, wow, the examples are a lot fewer than, well, I thought.
One of our Twitch listeners, David, said Randy Johnson going from Seattle to Arizona.
That was free agency? Well, technically it was because he was traded to Houston, and he left Houston as a free agent to sign with Arizona. So, yes. Okay.
I forgot about that little stint with Houston.
Right.
And going back to David Ortiz, why was he not a traditional free agent signing, as you said?
Well, because you guys, and by you guys, I mean the Twins, you put him on waivers. I mean, you did. You waived him. No, I mean, unfortunately, and he hit like 26 homers for you, you waived him. But, which obviously is one of the great, miscalculations in Twins history.
Well, I think it was probably more a money decision at that time, wasn't it? I mean, again, no,
they chose Minkiewicz. Okay, they did not view him as like the long-term answer at DH for whatever reason. And I mean, think about it. They waived him. They said he was not worthy of a spot on their 40-man roster. Now, at the time, the Twins had just become good again. 99, 2000, 01, the 02 team made the LCS. I think you guys released Ortiz after the 01 season. And Minkiewicz was your first baseman for a little while longer, Gold Glover on the turf, the whole deal. And Terry Ryan admits, the biggest mistake I ever made.
I thought he was like set up for arbitration or something, and they just realized that they could never afford him.
Oh, maybe so, but but it wasn't in the grand scheme of things a lot of money. Now, at the time, there was talk that the Twins were going to get contracted. Money was a real issue with the franchise, so that could have been. But I mean, they were, he was signed sitting on his couch, and not for big money, if my memory serves me.
Yeah, this is what I just found on this, because I'm trying to remember. After the season, the small market Twins faced a decision on Ortiz, who had made $950,000 and would likely have been granted around $2 million for 2003 by an arbitrator. Rather than negotiate a contract or go to arbitration, the Twins instead decided to release Ortiz as a cost-cutting move on December 16th.
Okay.
I mean, that's,
No.
I don't know
I mean, does he technically then qualify? Like, I would like to know the contract that the Red Sox signed him for. When the Red Sox then signed him, what did they sign him for? And listen, you could be the biggest Red Sox fan in the world. When the Red Sox signed David Ortiz, nobody thought we were signing Big Papi. Okay, they didn't. They thought they were signing David Ortiz.
Right.
Okay, I mean, seriously, he had a nice lefty stick. He was not going to become the dominant force from the left side of the plate in the American League for a decade. So Now, I don't remember what he signed with the Red Sox for. Does it technically qualify as free agency? It does, because also since he was released, you are bidding against others. You're bidding against the whole rest of the sport. So could you qualify it? Yeah, okay. It's usually, though, big, noteworthy, headline grabbing. Oh my goodness, did you see who we signed? Signings are not from people who get released.
Right. Claimed off waivers, basically, right?
It was a
wasn't
glorified
quite.
waivers claim, but technically it was a free agent signing. But, I mean, even the Red Sox didn't think they were signing the guy he turned out to be. I mean, because if so, they never would have let him hit waivers. They would have called the Twins and offered him something. You wouldn't have let anybody else have a shot at David Ortiz if he was Big Papi, not this guy who only played against righties 100 games a year against, for the Twins. That was a miscalculation, wasn't it? Holy mackerel. Now he got hooked up with a hitting coach in Boston that he didn't have in Minnesota. The lineup was just a little bit better in Boston. Okay, but
just a little
bit better. So, for the record, the podcast Playground in our Twitch chat room says the Red Sox signed Ortiz to a 1-year, $1.25 million contract after the Twins released him. I mean, it's up to you. Do you think that qualifies? If it does, fine. Listen, you could certainly then say, hell, that's one of the best free agent signings in the history of sport. But it's not what NBA free agency later today and NHL free agency tomorrow is what we think about.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Didn't he go to Seattle first? So I just remembered being bummed that it was going to end that way with arguably the franchise's greatest player. But clearly, I mean, Ewing was done and he didn't want to admit it. Sonny, didn't you guys get Lowell in like 06? Because he was on the 07 Red Sox championship team. Bill. Do you, hey, Rick?
I'm sorry?
Do you need Trent's email?
No, I have Trent's email.
Okay. And he said you could send them to him, with or without, whatever's easy, whatever's easier for you. He's ready now. Apparently they have technical issues, so that's why he couldn't join us. But if you want, you could start sending him stuff now if you want.
Okay. Will do. About 15 seconds.
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark is off all week. Best of show on Friday, the 4th. Final show of June, final hour. I don't do a good, bad, and ugly when Mark's not here. That's kind of his thing. I am going to do it today was the day when and what's on tap. In fact, I did a lot of homework for today was the day when. So, final segment of the show will be along the lines of what it normally is. But, you've missed Mark today and you'll miss him with no good, bad, and ugly. Mark will be back a week from today after a well-earned family vacation. Free agency, the dominant topic of the show today. NBA free agency gets underway in 8.5 hours. NHL free agency tomorrow. So we've just asked, best, biggest free agent signings in your favorite team's history. Doesn't have to be NBA, doesn't have to be NHL. In your favorite team's history, what's been your best free agent signing? And we brought this topic up because both Rick and I have realized even more than we thought 3 hours ago that, wow, a lot of our best players were either drafted or acquired via trade. We've actually had very few terrific free agent signings along the way. I think I need to trade more, which, that's my favorite cup of tea. I'd be trading all the time. I mean, I'd be like a deli counter. We'd have one of those signs, days since the last trade. Okay. And if we ever got to 10, I'd probably start getting the shakes. And I'd make deals just for the heck of making deals, which I'm sure would lead to a lot of winning. Yeah, I know. But I don't know what to tell you. My favorite baseball team's just lost 13 of 16. You don't think there's a few deals I've got up my sleeve today? Are you kidding? I mean, I'm like Burgess Meredith at the hospital in Rocky II. What are we waiting for? I mean, come on now. Trust me, Rick feels the same way about his Twins. Okay, there's half a lineup he's done with. They're always hurt. They don't produce half the time when they're not. Rick's like, enough with this. Get them out of here. So
they're not big movers on the trade market, though. Typically, David.
No,
they're usually sellers, not buyers.
Yeah, they should be sellers now, though. They put a group together, and unfortunately, it's a group that can't stay healthy, and a group that too infrequently has lived up to its potential. If I were the Twins, I would be sellers. And they've got some pieces that people want.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since they'll be renting these guys for a short season. So even someone who can't stay healthy, the teams are betting on them only staying healthy for 2 to 3 months. And your roster can stay healthy for 2 to 3 months. It's just they can't stay healthy at the same time. So, good luck acquiring who you're acquiring off the Twins. But free agency, our topic, having some fun. All right, kicking it around. Best free agent signings in football. It's probably between Drew Brees and Reggie White as to the most impactful free agent signings. You could argue Brady with the Bucs. You can argue Peyton Manning with the Broncos. Who knows? By the time he's done, you might argue Saquon Barkley with the Eagles. He's already made an amazing impact. But NBA, not going to be a ton of free agent signings. There's not a lot of good players available. Now, you want to make a trade, there's quite a few good players available. There was a free agent signing, technically a free agent signing. Bobby Portis re-signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Well, I guess you could technically argue it wasn't a free agent signing because his contract didn't get to the point where it expired. But is Bobby Portis being kept in the fold enough to keep Giannis from telling management, yeah, I want out of here? I don't think it is. I mean, Milwaukee doesn't have a lot of guys signed. They only had like 5 guys under contract before yesterday morning. So they do need to sign as many good players as they can. They have no cap room and no picks. Besides that, they're in great shape. But that's what you really need to be looking and listening for in the next 48 hours. Because if I'm Milwaukee, am I going to start this season with Giannis and deal him at the deadline? Am I going to hold on to him for one more year where he is 31 next offseason and is closer to free agency? I mean, if I'm Milwaukee, I would have done the Cooper Flag deal. I would have been all over Dallas for Cooper Flag. We had our run. We won a title. We hadn't won one of those suckers in almost 50 years. We're Milwaukee. We have a hard time getting players and keeping them. That's just a fact of life. We drafted this guy. He turned into a superstar. He won us a title. All good things are coming to an end. I would move on now. I don't think Giannis and Bobby Portis is going to get through the East next year. Never mind what Lillard, when he comes back in 26, what type of player is he going to be after the Achilles? And for those of you NBA geeks out there, and I know there are a few of you, all right, most of our audience is not, but I know there's a few of you, including Rick Church on the other side of the glass. Apparently the Spurs and the Celtics are really talking about a Jaylen Brown deal. Now, it didn't happen during the draft, but apparently it was close. Just saying. Because right now, Boston's willing to deal and Milwaukee's not. So if you're the Spurs, do you hang tight and just wait for the day that Giannis becomes available? No guarantee he wants to play for you, by the way. No guarantee you'll get him. Meanwhile, you're talking to Brad Stevens right now. You've got him on the line. You know what his price tag is.
Doesn't make sense to me, David. 1 year removed from a championship. I know Jason Tatum's out all next year, but you're going to blow up that team, right? You're going to get rid of Jaylen Brown now. I don't understand.
Well, it's real simple.
Why they would do that, but
it's real simple. It's all money.
Oh yeah, well of course.
Well, I mean, but you asked why, and it's because well, if they hadn't made the deals that they made last week, getting rid of Drew Holiday and Porzingis, their payroll this year with all of the taxes was going to cost the new owners $500 million. They apparently now have eliminated so much money that they're under the second apron, and they have a chance, if they make a Jaylen Brown deal, to not pay any tax at all. Remember, the new owner hasn't become the new owner yet. He's still working on the $6.1 billion in financing. So do you think he really wants a $400 to $500 million yearly payroll? Or as he said to Brad Stevens, get this payroll under $200 million. Because the only thing Brad Stevens has said publicly this offseason, we need to get our financial flexibility back. Translation, get under the taxes. Jaylen Brown and the Spurs. Just be listening for it.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Maybe you just give me a certain cue when you want the "Today was the day when"
Sure.
intro. Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Rick Church on the other side of the glass in our Southwest Florida studios. Mark off all week. He'll be back a week from today. Best of show on Friday. When Mark is off, I do not do the good, bad, and ugly. Sorry, it's his thing, and I leave it for him. Okay. However, we do the other stuff. You know, what's on tap? Today was the day when? You know, that we do. Especially since, well, I like those things. I like to look up, this day in history, etc. So today was the day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton. Get 10% off your service with locations in Naples and Bonita. Give them a call, 239-427-3441, 239-427-3441, or look them up online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Time now for Today Was the Day When.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We go back to 1859. Jean-Francois Gravelet, a Frenchman, first to walk across Niagara Falls on a tightrope on this day in 1859. Don't know why anybody would have that idea, but okay. A couple of important things got published on this day. In 1905, 120 years ago, Einstein published that theory of relativity. That was a biggie. In fact, we could have a poll question. Which thing that was published today was a bigger deal? That or in 1936, when Margaret Mitchell had this little book published called Gone with the Wind. Yeah, I don't want to say it was a big deal. 3 years later, it was a movie. They moved quickly with that sucker. Today in 1953, the first Chevy Corvette rolled off the assembly line in Flint, Michigan. And today in 89, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, released in theaters. Today was a big day in sports. On this day in 1908, Cy Young threw his third no-hitter. At the time, he was the oldest person to ever throw one. He was over 41 years old. Harry Vardon on this day in 1911 won his 5th Open Championship at Royal St. George's. What's weird is that 18 years later on this day, Bobby Jones wins his 3rd U.S. Open. If you go back in the day, they would play these tournaments very close to one another. It's why in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it was not uncommon for a top player in the world to not play in all of the majors. I mean, a lot of the Americans skipped the then British Open or only played it in selective years, in part because of the trip. In other reasons, because there wasn't a whole lot of time in between the two Opens and the PGA, which was held in August. On this day, by the way, when Bobby Jones won his 3rd U.S. Open, he won it in a playoff by 23 shots. Now, it was a 36-hole playoff, but still, damn. On this day in 1934, A Detroit radio executive by the name of George Richards paid $7,952.08. I love the fact he had to pay the 8 cents. He bought the Portsmouth Spartans. And since he's from Detroit, he moved the football team to Detroit. And he renamed them the Lions. 91 years ago today, $7,952, and wait for it, 8 cents. Hall of Famer Bob Lemon, no hits to Tigers on this day in 48. Sandy Koufax threw his first of his 4 no-hitters today against the Mets in their expansion year of 62. Riverfront Stadium opened today in 1970. Obviously, wasn't ready for the beginning of the season, but was ready just before the All-Star break. That stadium lasted 32 years until they demolished it. So if you're wondering how come stadiums don't last that long these days, yeah, they didn't necessarily last that long in other days either. The great Willie McCovey hit his 500th homer on this day in 1978. And it was on this day in 82 that the hockey team in New Jersey settled on their nickname, the Devils. Rick Orlando drafted Chris Webber first overall on this day in 93. And then shortly thereafter traded him to Golden State. Got their hands on this Penny Hardaway dude.
He was all right.
Well, and the Weber was okay too, out in Golden State. Eddie Murray, 30 years ago today, got his 3,000th hit. He was playing for the Indians then. At the time, he was just the second switch hitter to get 3,000 hits. Obviously, Pete Rose being the other. 12 years ago today, Nathan McKinnon was the first overall pick of the NHL draft. And boy, did this age well. 6 years ago today, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving decided they were going to leave their respective teams and sign via free agency with the Brooklyn Nets. Ah, what an era that was. KD and Kyrie in Brooklyn.
Didn't work out so well, did it?
No, it really didn't. But it worked out well for the teams that acquired them.
Yeah.
This is in honor of my late grandfather. He had a soft spot for Lena Horne, who was born on this day in 1917. Now, she passed away 15 years ago, but Grandpa, that's for you. Michael Phelps is 40. His birthday's today. And Vincent D'Onofrio, the actor, is 66 years old. So that was today, was the day when. A lot of sports today. Less than 8,000 to purchase the Lions. It's my favorite factoid of today. $7,952 and 8
cents.
Yep.
Kind of on a similar vein, I don't know if you heard this, David. You know, the Minnesota Timberwolves sale to Lorian Rodriguez was actually initially agreed to in 2021.
Correct.
It took them 4 years to go through legal wrangling to close the deal, but the price tag in 2021 that they agreed on was $1.5 million.
Billion.
Today,
billion, you mean?
Well, yeah, 1.5. Did I say million? Yeah, $1.5 billion. Mm-hmm. Today, the estimated value of the Minnesota Timberwolves is about $3.1 billion.
Right.
So,
listen,
there,
I mean,
4 years.
We know why Glenn Taylor was trying to back out of the deal. About 3 hours after making the deal, his buddies were calling him going, dude, you sold that team for $1.5 billion? What are you doing?
The price down.
And, oh, by the way, a year later, the franchise was worth $1 billion more, and they started winning.
Yes.
And Glenn Taylor said, well, these guys I made the deal with, they don't have the money. They're not following the plan, and the deal is off. And Mark Lowry and A-Rod were like, what are you talking about? We got the money right here. We're just following the deadlines.
Seller's remorse.
No doubt.
And then the Lakers, of course, just earlier this year sold for $10 billion. So
correct. Celtics finalizing a deal for $6.1 billion. Lakers deal will be finalized before the year is out at a value of $10 billion. And yes, Lowry and A-Rod get the T-Wolves for $1.5 billion. Now, I will say they have pledged that they are going to build a new arena. These things are not cheap. Now, they're not, football stadiums with a dome, but still, these suckers are not cheap. And for what it's worth, Lowry and A-Rod have come out and said they're going to get rid of the Target Center and they're going to build a new arena. Not right away, though. They said they want to build one, which when people walk in it, they go, oh, this is the greatest arena in the world. So they said this is going to take like 3 years to research and where we're going to build it and how we're going to build it. But they've already announced their plans to build a brand new arena with all the money that they didn't have to pay to buy the team.
We shall see. I hope that's true. Of course, there's been a lot of speculation, too, that there's maybe other things they're considering, like relocating the team, but maybe that's just paranoid Minnesota fans.
It is. They both came out. They said, we're not moving. First off, the NBA would not let them. Seriously, the NBA would not let them. Because think about it. They would move to where? An expansion city, potentially. Well, the NBA, for the first time beginning next month, is going to seriously discuss expansion under Adam Silver. Why would they let the T-Wolves move and take one of those cities away from them?
Most notably Seattle, which was the one that was mentioned the most.
Yeah, they're not going to.
No. Well,
by the way, this Seattle over the weekend unveiled a statue in honor of Lenny Wilkens. And I guess later next month, they're unveiling a statue of Sue Bird. And it's interesting because, of course, those statues are where? In front of Climate Pledge Arena, which is where a hockey team plays. But the thought is there will be a basketball team that playing there within the next handful of years. We shall see. It's a Monday, so not everybody plays in Major League Baseball. In fact, I believe there are just 8 games on the docket tonight. Rays are in action. They're back home, taking on the A's. Marlins are off. Yankees are north of the border in Toronto. Red Sox hosting the suddenly surging Reds. The FS1 game of the night, 9:30, Giants and Diamondbacks. 2 teams struggling to remain playoff relevant in the National League. And that's pretty much it. There's no soccer, I believe, till Wednesday. WNBA has no action tonight until tomorrow. Caitlin Clark expected back tomorrow for the Fever, taking on the best team in the league, the Minnesota Lynx in Minneapolis. We'll see, Rick, if A-Rod is there and actually has a Lynx shirt on this time instead of a T-Wolves.
He may do that just for the PR, Dave.
A-Rod do something for the PR?
Hard to imagine.
It is tough to believe. There is no doubt. NBA free agency gets underway in 8 hours and 8 minutes. I think there will be a deal announced within the first 8 minutes of free agency. It's amazing how fast they can do deals in the NBA. I'm guessing first deal will be sent out on X by Shams between 6 and 6:08. Hockey free agency gets underway tomorrow. The only thing people are interested about today Will the Leafs re-sign Marner today before he hits free agency? Highly doubtful. Will they actually trade his rights for a late draft pick to Vegas to give them an exclusive negotiating period? Which, of course, is laughable to think they're not talking now. Exactly. Miller and Moulton. Everything that happens in the NBA and the NHL, we will have on the show tomorrow. Pat Kerwin, Seth Everett, scheduled to join us on Wednesday. Rick, good job.
Thank you, my friend. Good to be here.
Thanks for keeping the train on the tracks. You got a lot of love on the text line.
I appreciate that very much, everybody.
Some people using different nicknames for you. Okay.
The Shadow.
Well, that was mentioned as well. Miller and Moulton. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk in July.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top.
All right. You still there?
I am. Do we do a promo, or do you not know how to do that and send it?
Oh, I thought Mark said that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He sent the generic one.
Like a generic for the week.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Okay. So we're all good, right? I can just shut all this stuff down?
Yeah, just as long as the first 2 minutes of spots run.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you may want to stay
Wearing a new.
Okay. Oh, yeah, of course.
It transitions over.
Got it.
Thanks for everything. I'll have some guests tomorrow, I promise.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Be good.
Talk to you tomorrow.
And text me when you check the mail.
Oh, I will.
Thanks.
Yep, I will. Thank you.
Fix it. Protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower is so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at @ThatMarkMiller or the David
This
Moulton.
is Miller and Moulton